Did Kody and Janelle plot against Meri to steal her money? Or was Janelle manipulated by Kody to sign off on a split before Meri could consent? Or was Robyn involved? Because if Robyn wants you to think that she was the one that had nothing to do with this, that would be a lie. A big one. A big one. But what is the secret deal? And why is Meri so mad at Janelle? We saw at the end of the season that Meri was apparently doing okay in her cordial relationship with Janelle. And then suddenly, by the tell-all, which we're going to see this coming week, there's a fight about this property and how the property was sold. And Meri also brings up how Kody took her equity, every single cent of her equity from the sale of her home in Vegas, and gave it over to Robyn. Now, there is a problem too, because Janelle also gifted Kody money for Robyn's home as well, a down payment so that they could buy the McMansion. But why is Meri so angry about this? Well, it all comes down to her legal standing and what Kody did to her in the divorce and how he used marital assets he had with Meri to enrich his new wife, Robyn. And Robyn is playing dumb and acting like she knows nothing about it. Potentially plausible deniability if Meri were to continue with civil lawsuits against Kody and Robyn, because my goodness, Meri would have a case. So what is the secret deal, and how did it start? Well, the first problem we need to go back to is in Las Vegas when Kody and Meri got divorced in 2014. They stated that they did not have any marital assets and that there was no division of assets. And so even though they had a home that they had bought that was on a deed as joint tenants and married, they didn't divide that property and remove Kody from the deed. So he stayed on the home. But at the same time of staying on the home with Meri, where he had that as his main residence, he added himself, or had Robyn add himself to her home. And so he moved basically to Robyn's home, and he never took a self off the mortgage with Meri. He also took out a home equity line for Robyn to pay off her debt on Robyn's house because she had a lien out against it. So Kody essentially ends up on two homes as a primary residence, Robyn's house and Meri's house. And by 2018, when the home sells, Kody's home with Robyn sells for like $65,000. And if you remember, it's because her home had the best upgrades. It had the most finished garden. It was the most desirable because of everything they put into it that was better than the other houses. By the spring of 2019, when Robyn needs a new place to live and Kody wants to buy, he has the benefit of Meri's home selling in June and Janelle's home selling in May. So Meri's home sells in June, and the sale price is $574,000, and she had a $47,000 original loan. I don't know how much she had left on the loan at the time the home sold, but basically she sold her home, and the sale was transferred and final on June 10th, and the debt was released by June 26th. So her home sells for $574,000 and $900,000. When Janelle's home sold, her home sold on April 30th of 2019 for $575,000, so they are about $100 apart. So Kody had wealth from the sale of a home with Robyn. He had equity in the home from the sale with Meri. And Kody used the stock from the sale he had with Meri. And then he had Janelle gift him money. And that money was then used as a down payment for the property they bought in Flagstaff. And their down payment was $225,000, with the bulk of that money coming from Meri. So because when they split, Meri never refinanced or removed Kody from the deed. And so Kody was still listed as a part owner. And while he should have checked with her and not taken the money, he took every single cent of the sale of the proceeds, which when he divorced and he added himself to Robyn's home, he should have just given up the home he had with Meri, because he wasn't paying a dime for the money for the house. He wasn't paying the bill. He wasn't paying it down. That was all Meri. But Kody still gained from the proceeds of the sale simply because they never did the paperwork. And he manipulated Meri by making her think there was a possibility of reconciliation. So when they get to Vegas, when they get to Flagstaff, Kody is still playing her and acting like he's going to get back together with her. And he does this even as they're trying to pay off Coyote Pass. He knows he can't pay off that land without Meri. So he takes all of the money from the sale of Meri's home. She has none of the value to show for it. And now when he wants to sell Coyote Pass, he gets into a backdoor deal with Janelle, which reduces Meri and Janelle's legal standing on all of the property and makes it near impossible for Meri to have a say in how the sale goes down. Why does this matter? Well, when they bought the land in Coyote Pass, Meri was only ever on one parcel that was split 3 ways. The land that she was on in Flagstaff had no lien on it and was paid for outright. Yet, when they paid off the property of Coyote Pass, and they paid off the 2 mortgages, which is around $290,000 total, Meri paid a third of the amount due. Janelle paid a third, Kody paid a third, Kody and Robyn paid a third, and Janelle paid and Meri paid a third. So Janelle, Meri, they all split it a third. So Meri should have and Janelle should have gotten 33% of the proceeds of the sale. But they didn't. So, in September of 2024, and only months after Garrison passes away, and this is why I really blame Kody for this, because this has Kody's manipulation written all over it. Kody decides he wants to buy a house, and the house is $2.1 million. Kody has so much debt at the time and the assets that he has, but he doesn't have cash. So, he doesn't have a ton of cash, and he needs to sell his current home in order to buy the new house. So, he needs to sell the hash knife home because he can't qualify for both mortgages. And then, selling Coyote Pass would improve his net assets or his net liquid. And he was also being sued for child support. So Kody was in a hurry to dump Coyote Pass, get rid of assets, shield it from the chance that Christine gets any of it. But he manipulates it and he somehow gets Janelle to agree without Meri's input that she will take 25%. Meri will take 25%. And then, Kody and Robyn, instead of having 25% each, decide that they will be on the titles with 50% as shared rights of survivorship. Meaning, in September of 2024, Janelle made an agreement without Meri's consent, giving Kody and Robyn the majority ownership of the properties, adding Robyn to the property, removing Kody from a parcel that she owns with Meri. And Robyn is added onto their box, and then Meri and Janelle get added onto a parcel that Kody and Robyn own. And so the joint parcels that they own, there's 2 of them, and Kody and Robyn are the main owners. Janelle and Meri own one parcel that's a smaller piece of 2.5%, 2.4 acres, and then Kody and Robyn's own another portion. The boxes did not need to be sold together. They could have been sold separately. They were not one sold unit, they had individual tax IDs, they never did a proper review. And the value that they sold the lots at was well under the value of the market for cost per acre. So, this is where the secret deal comes in, and this is where Janelle is involved. And I would say that it was probably Kody's idea, and Janelle just agreed to it without asking Meri. Because in Janelle's eyes, I'm sure she's just looking out for herself. She probably just wants to cut all ties from Flagstaff. Her son has just died. Whatever it is, but Janelle was involved in a secret deal. And Kody, through his real estate agent, finds an off-market buyer who is ready to purchase in cash. The property never gets put on the market. So there's no test of what the property could go for. So an appropriate and legitimate deal for a sale would be that you place it on the market and you accept a bidding for sale. You allow various people to come in and make offers. You're able to discuss the terms and everything is public. You're able to test the per acre mark-like area. And when I say the house was undervalued, you'd be shocked. In Flagstaff, land is selling anywhere from $198,000 per acre to upwards of $299,000 per acre because there is such a shortage. They went in when it was the housing market was still a little bit low, and they bought this at $880,000. And when this property was ready to be sold, if they would have put it on the market, it probably should have been listed for like between $2.5 to $2.8 million. And instead of testing the market, and because of the backdoor deal, and because Janelle had essentially agreed to let Kody and Robyn have 50% ownership. And Kody convinced them that they had found a buyer, and Kody told them that the buyer was willing to do $125,000 per acre, and Kody told them that that was a fair market. He lied. $125,000 per acre was greatly undervalued. Kody was driven to sell, and it didn't matter to him if it was a fair market price. It didn't matter to him about the negotiation process. He just needed the money. So, his need for money left Meri unable to discuss terms. It lowered the sale price. It didn't allow anyone else to bid on the land. And Kody, instead of allowing each parcel to be sold separately, took a backdoor offer off-market from a cash buyer, no appraisal, for $1.5 million at $103,000 an acre. So before all of the realtor fees, and before the taxes and the title fees and all of the moving and the commissions and everything that he has to pay to sell, each one of them individually would have walked away with $375,000. Okay, that's not bad.
But then you have to take out all the costs for Justin and for the seller. You, when you're the seller, You pay your costs, and you usually pay the costs for the closing for the buyer as well. And so they've got to pay that fee, whatever that fee is, and then whatever's left, it's split by 4.
So you think, okay, well, that's not bad, but it is bad because if they test the market, and this is where I think that Janelle, who says that she's very smart, isn't smart because anyone that works in real estate would have never agreed to this. What Kody and them did basically is, when people are like, we buy ugly houses and they give you like a lowball offer, that's effectively what they did because Kody and Robyn were desperate for cash and because Janelle needed money to build her house in North Carolina. Meri has a place that has a lot of debts in Paran, but Meri wasn't in a need for speed, right? Like Kody had dragged his feet for so long, but the market is in such a good place in Flagstaff that they're at a peak, right? And so had they put it on the market based on a conservative $198,000 per acre, the sales price should have been $2.87 million. That's a $1.3 million that's left on the table because they didn't put it on the market because he took a lowball secret deal. So instead of walking away with upwards at 25% of $717,000, she walks away with $375,000. But what's worse is it should have been split 3 ways. So Kody and Robyn ended up walking away with $750,000, but they never should have. They should have walked away with 33%. So Meri ends up missing out on $333,000 had they put it on the market and gone for a legitimate offer with bidding and tested the market. If she would have gotten 33% as she should have, this sale ends up screwing her out of almost $600,000. Had they split it by a third, they each could have walked away with like $950,000 before all of that's before. So you have to take out, the commissions, but commissions are like, can be anywhere from 2, 3 upwards to 6%. They would still be walking away with over $900,000 each had it been fairly split by 33%, as it should have been as a married couple who only contributed 1/3 of the price to this property. Kody and Robyn didn't contribute 50% to the price. They gave 33%. So Kody and Janelle do a secret deal, giving Kody and Robyn more say. He's able to make a sale, which Janelle was right. She wasn't lying. But that deal didn't and couldn't have happened without Janelle signing off and agreeing in September excluding Meri from that talk. So by the time they had the deal, there wasn't anything Meri could do other than agree to the terms that Janelle had already agreed to. Because by that point, Janelle, it was 75% against Meri. She had nowhere left to discuss. And this, my friends, is proof that Meri's not lying about the secret deal. That Janelle says there was no secret deal and she's lying. That Kody is blaming Janelle for it and he's lying. And Robyn is lying and acting like she knows nothing about it because Robyn knew about it in September. She agreed to it in September. And Meri was holding out on all of this because they were during that time trying to force her into an enda. So, not only did they do a backdoor deal, lowball offer, they also were trying to strong-arm her into an enda. Which I think is why now, today, she's blabbing. Because I would too. I mean, if you had already had so much of your money screwed out and you'd been on reality television for 15 years and you have nothing to show for it, and your ex-husband and his wife have all of the family assets and you got screwed out of the equity from your home, they haven't paid you back for. That, and you finally have an asset that you can sell, which is valuable, and your ex-husband forces a severely lowball price because he's short on cash. That's I'd be mad too. I would be so mad because still, Meri doesn't have a lot to show for herself. Janelle doesn't have a lot to show for herself. Yes, she bought a bunch of land in North Carolina. I think she only spent $150 on it, but she had to buy it with Caleb and Maddie, and then she's building a modest house. She is not living the good life. That $375 to her was probably what she needed to build the new place, and so she was probably fine with it. But if you're actually thinking and valuing what you're worth, and you know that you've been working for years on reality television, and you have nothing to show for it because your ex-husband and his wife have stolen it all for you. Janelle promised Meri that she would be with her and have her back. And when it was all said and done, she only had her back. And she worked against Meri, and she allowed a sale to be made. And if I were, Meri's right in being angry. They should have put it on the market. But they refused, because Kody was broke. And that's the truth. Do I blame Janelle? I kind of blame her. Because she told Meri she would have her back, and she didn't. And she played Meri the whole time and acted like she was on Meri's side when she really wasn't. And even when they signed the property and they were there for the sale of the property, she still acted like she was on Meri's side, with Meri not even knowing until then, and after the sale happens, how it all went down. So, what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, besties.